The governor's announcement on Line 5 in November 2020 was kind of a peak experience in my career because it showed and brought a lot of the work that Flo and Jim Olson have done to fruition. It wasn't just public trust doctrine as a philosophy or a legal theory, it was the public trust doctrine in action to protect the Great Lakes. It's a real milestone in Michigan's environmental history that Governor Whitmer invoked the public trust doctrine to protect the Straits of Mackinac. I think we're going to see this doctrine become more and more useful in protecting the Great Lakes in coming decades, and she and Flo set that in motion.
Dave Dempsey is a Great Lakes titan, extraordinary writer, generous, and incredible mentor.
Got a great gift of expression. If you've read, he's written 10 books. I think that the biography of Governor Milliken was his most recent book, but if you read anything that Dave has written, marvelous gift of expression that he is capable of.
Well, Dave Dempsey was one of my early teachers, really. Just reading his books brought me into a much better understanding of all the implications of anybody trying to own water.
I think Dave is just a brilliant writer. I think he has such a broad scope of everything water. And I'm deeply appreciative of when I have a question or a policy question, or if I have to quickly translate something for our planning commission or some local discussion in Elk Rapids, that I can call Dave. And I've done this many a time. Or, I joke that he's kind of on speed dial when it comes to water things.
He has a mind that never lets loose. I mean, who needs Google when you've got Dave?
Dave Dempsey is just somebody who has been so clear in his advocacy for the Great Lakes, for protection of the Great Lakes in all of its forms. Again, he's known across the border. These are people, you can say they might be American, in nationality or whatever, but they really are citizens of North America. And Dave has done tremendous work that is highly, highly valued by those of us in Canada protecting the Great Lakes.
I find Dave works with more depth, every bit as much speed, and more imagination and creativity than Google.
Dave, I just have so much admiration, but to me, he's the one who, he's the megaphone, the articulator. He does all the precise translating for me, in my mind, in my experience, from, okay, here's the legal, here's the science. He's the one who translates that into the language. So he's the ultimate translator to me, and also really a calm voice.
Dave Dempsey is a master of inspiration, of inspiring.
Dave is, for a lot of people, Mr. Great Lakes. And lately he's become Mr. Groundwater. I think he reminds people over and over again what their role should be in terms of protecting water. Thank God he's a writer too, because he's publishing stuff that is meaningful and valuable.
It's been an honor to work for Flo, and I'm so glad that I joined the ranks of Flo several years ago. Flo is small but very effective, very powerful, because we do the work that others don't have time or resources to do in terms of by building the science and the law to help us protect the Great Lakes, whether it's Line 5 or water commercialization. Flo is at the forefront. The second great reason that I came to Flo was the team of talent and the team spirit that exists at Flo. Liz Kirkwood is an amazing director and leader. She's probably the kindest boss I've ever had, as well as one of the most driven to help protect people and the environment. And all my colleagues are people of genuine commitment and principle, and good people. So I've been lucky to have this experience. It's sort of the capstone of my career, and it's really a great place to do that, to hopefully build on the accomplishments that Flo has made in the past. Well, it all goes back to childhood. Growing up in Michigan, my family often traveled across the Mackinac Bridge to the Upper Peninsula to visit my grandparents. And I was just awed from the first memory, the first sight of the Great Lakes. I felt we were in a special place, and I loved it. And that's kind of been the story of how I started in this field.